Hey, Dustin Tibbetts here, financial advisor with Jazz Wealth Managers. Hope you're having a great day so far today. Today, I want to give you 4 things that you need to know about target date funds. I typically do the 4 things. I like sort of talking about 4 different things. If you look through our videos on our channel, you're going to see a lot of 4 reasons this, 4 reasons that have actually kind of become known around town as the guy that's going to tell you 4 reasons for this or that. It's embarrassing. Anyways, I want to talk today about target date funds because I look at a ton of these. So what happens with us is as you open an account with us, you get started with your IRA, we'll invest it with you, your Roth IRA, whatever. Well, we're going to also want to take a look at your 401k. And inside of there, I've seen tons of different target date funds, really aggressive ones, really conservative ones. And if you're not familiar with target date funds, basically all they do is they try to target the appropriate amount of risk that you should take until you get to retirement. So they have numbers. It'll be the target date 2020, 2025, 2030. And what those mean is that's your retirement date. If you're going to retire next year, you would choose a target date fund 2020. Well, that's the default thinking anyways. And today I'm going to give you 4 things you want to know about those. The first is actually don't default to the one that you maybe should choose, right? Now, for the most part, that's fine, right? If you're going to retire next year, a 2020 fund may be fine. But here's the thing. We're all different. We all have different goals. We all have different savings. We all have different investments. We may have royalties. We may have business income. We may have spouses who are wealthy and have earned a lot of money. We may have spouses who are collecting a lot of Social Security. And so we really don't need to take a whole lot of risk. And so because of that, I urge you to just briefly understand how they work. The higher the year, 25, 30, 35, 40, whatever, the higher the year, typically the more aggressive they're going to be. So if you want to be more aggressive, there's nothing that says you have to pick this one because it's the closest to the retirement age that you have. If you want to be more aggressive, you can choose one later down the line. If you want to be more conservative, still research the target date funds, but you can pick one that's less than your retirement age, okay? Number 2, the second thing I want you to know is they're diversified already. So this is weird because you sort of grow up thinking and being taught diversified, choose multiple investments, right? Don't just choose one. Well, target date funds are inherently diverse. So you actually are good. If you just want to choose the one, pick a year that works for you, you could just choose that, have one target date fund, and that's it. They're actually priced that way, so they kind of force you into that. So you are diverse. Don't worry about it. If you become one of our customers, I invest for you, I say, hey, let me take a look at your 401k, and I respond back, well, you want to be aggressive, so I would choose this target date fund, and that's it. That's okay, right? You could just have just the one target date fund. If you add more investments on top of that, by the way, you could start to overlap investments. You could be paying more than you should because you think you're supposed to be diversified, and you could also be taking more risk than you think. So number 2, know that target date funds are pretty much diverse. You could just choose the one and you're good there. Tip number 3, target date funds are not all the same. By far, they are not all the same. They're managed by somebody, and everybody has a different opinion of how they should manage their target date fund. For example, a Vanguard target date fund is much different than a a Schwab, a T. Rowe Price is what I was thinking of. A T. Rowe Price target date fund. A T. Rowe Price target date fund is different than a Fidelity target date fund because they each have their own goals for them. So here's how they work. When you are far away from the target date, let's say you chose a 2050 target date fund, the fund is going to be more aggressive with stocks. They're going to have more volatile, more aggressive investments in there and less of the conservative investments. As you get closer to retirement, the hopes are they're going to take less and less risk. You'll see less fluctuation. You'll start to lock in more of your money, maybe focus more of an income approach there. And as you get into retirement, you're really not taking a whole lot of risk. That's not true for all of them. I've done videos on this in the past where we analyzed a bunch of them and showed how some of them are taking excess risk into retirement. And lately, since the markets have been pretty strong and the bond market has been sort of like non-existent as far as what they'll pay, a lot of these target date funds are staying with more risk. And so you could find that you're more risky than you might like. So definitely know that not every target date fund is the same. Vanguard target date funds tend to be more conservative. They're on the slower end. They might return a little bit less, but you won't feel a lot of the pain along the way. I have a note here. Christy Peeve from US News actually looked at a group of 2020 funds. So this is going to be people that are retiring next year or somewhere very close to that. She found that out of all the 2020 funds that she looked at, the allocation to stocks was anywhere from 40% to 54%. That's kind of a large swing. The allocation to bonds was anywhere from 37% to 52%. So it gives you an idea that if you choose one on the lower end, you could be real heavy in bonds, which are slower, and very little in stocks. If you want to be more aggressive, you want to make sure you have that target date fund that sort of accommodates what you're looking for. That was Christy Peeve, actually, so I wanted to give her credit for that. It's not my data. We did a video in the past where it is my data. Number 4. If your target date fund is less aggressive, it could be less costly. I didn't say that right. The more conservative a target date fund is, the less they usually charge, right? They do it for a reason. They know they're being more conservative, and so they don't charge you very much. The average cost for a target date fund is 0.66%, or, well, you get it, 0.66%, right? So that's the average. If it's a more conservative fund and you go, hey, mine's only like 0.5%, take a look. It may be one of the slower performers. If yours charges upwards of 0.8, 0.9%, you're probably getting your money's worth. From what I've seen, you're getting a Bronco, basically. You're getting something that's going to move quickly. It's going to get you there, right? So just know that. If you see the lower cost target date fund versus higher cost, that may be your hint that you're playing with something less or more aggressive. Well, that's it. That's all I have for you today. I wanted to give you those 4 things to consider for target date funds. We look at them for all of our customers. If they want us to look at their 401ks, 457s, TSPs, whatever it happens to be, well, that's part of our service. We want to be a retirement investment advisor, helping you manage your investments no matter who you are. If you're in your 20s and you're just getting started and you're like, I just don't want to get taken advantage of, what do I do? Hope you'll keep us in mind here at Jazz Wealth. If you're close to retirement and you want to make sure everything's dialed in, same thing. We'll be here for you here at Jazz Wealth. I appreciate you watching, and we will talk to you soon.
Why should you choose Jazz Wealth as your retirement or long-term investing service? Our portfolios are managed by us, not some faceless mutual fund manager. Our private classes will teach you everything about investing and getting your dough straight. Best of all, our fiduciary standard means your best interest comes before ours.